So I joined the Sharing Stories team when I was a trainee on the Lancaster Clinical Psychology programme. So I think it was in towards the end of second year, beginning of third year of the programme.
And I joined Sharing Stories in the second year of the programme, which was in 2015, and I've stayed involved since I've qualified.
About building up my skills and confidence in working with people from different kind of cultural backgrounds, working with people with different ways of viewing the world, working with people who come from a different set of circumstances or a different place than where I've come from, and being able to work in a way which is respectful and curious of that while still learning more about it.
And I think because I'm experiencing Britain becoming more and more diverse, that it's so important for us to not work in a solely westernised way. And I think coming from an ethnic minority myself, I know how important it is to not just work with one model to lots of different people. And also something else that I've taken away to qualified life is the spirit of community psychology and working not just one-to-one, but how do we work with groups as a whole as well.
I think for me it's a useful space to be able to come up with new ideas that I feel I can take back into my qualified life. So I think, for example, in terms of the work I might do clinically with people, this week has really got me thinking about the role of peer support and how the solutions to problems don't have to come from kind of us as the expert. It's about trying to join people together and helping people to support each other, drawing on their experiences, their knowledge, the things that might work for them. So it's got me thinking a little bit about, for example, how our role might be less about doing lots of one-to-one work with somebody. It might be more about trying to bring people together and facilitate sharing stories and sharing experience.
One of the challenges is finding time outside of qualified life, outside of, I guess, a 9-to-5 NHS job to fit in Sharing Stories. But although it is quite challenging time-wise, the commitment and the motivation is always there, because I guess I've joined as a trainee and it feels like it wouldn't be right to leave because I've been given so much from the group that it feels like something I'm very motivated to continue with, and also something that I think I will keep doing is continuing to bring into Sharing Stories. It might not be attending meetings all the time, but it would be whatever I can do in the background that can help. Yeah.
I think it's a really useful way to think about your own continued professional development as well. Like, there is a lot of time that you have to give, and there is that need for kind of effort and motivation, but I think the things you get back from that definitely worth the expenditure.
Yeah, and I think because we're working in a very collectivist way, that is so different from how we usually work one-to-one in an NHS, I guess back in the UK, that it's prompting a lot of thinking of when I go back to work, what it will be like working with different groups of people, and also how I can work differently. Also, it's making me think about, I need to critique this a bit more. So what Lancaster has given me is how I can critically engage with a lot of material, which I find that since joining the NHS post-qualified, doing everything according to service evaluations and monies and budgets, that I don't have time to engage with material so much, but being engaged with Sharing Stories in an ongoing way helps me refresh some of that.
I think it definitely helps me to keep my motivation and enthusiasm for the job as a whole. I think because even though working in the NHS can be draining and demanding sometimes, I think doing this kind of work alongside that really helps us to, I guess, remember the value of why we're here and what we're doing.
Yeah, it's very refreshing to be around like-minded people.
Thank you. I will let Rob put the boom down.
I was like,